Welcome into the Ravens Rundown, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. On today's show, we will break down the current playoff picture for your Baltimore Ravens, what they need to do to make the postseason. We'll also look at the AFC North race, the remaining schedule, and go over the numbers for you, what the New York Times and 538 is saying about the Ravens' chances at the postseason. All that and more coming up in just a moment. Before we do, if you believe in this Ravens team as far as their pathway to make it to the postseason and be a true contender this year, then I need you to like today's video. If you're all in, if you are a believer, flock, show up, show out for your favorite team right now. Hit today's like button, and we'll get started with the show. The run to the playoffs is on. We enter week number 15, the home stretch of the NFL season, with just 4 weeks remaining at this point, and the Ravens are in a very tight race in the AFC North. Currently in first place right now with the tiebreaker over the Cincinnati Bengals, and that was their best win of the year so far, going back to October 9th when they beat Cincinnati 19-17. And from here on out, things are going to be very interesting for this Ravens team to see if they can get the job done. They'll take on the Cleveland Browns this week, a much different Cleveland Browns team than they saw last go-round with Deshaun Watson getting the start this time for Cleveland. And so let's start out with some numbers from 538. Their playoff predictor gives the Ravens a 98% chance to make the postseason. So they're in the show. Where they'll be, that's another story. In regards to winning the division, 538 says the Ravens have about a 62% chance. So not bad, but not all the way there. And a loss that you're not supposed to have certainly can change those numbers pretty quick. Their chances for the number one seed, not very good, just about 2%. And their chances to win the whole shebang, the Super Bowl, about 5% at this point in time. But we'll get to the Super Bowl later. For now, the main thing we'll focus on is that division race, which stands at about 62%. So, speaking of the division race, how good a chances do you have the Ravens winning the AFC North right now? Are you feeling pretty good about it? If you are, type Y for yes. If you don't think they'll win the AFC North, type in for no. You might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it. Get your votes in. Y for yes, in for no. It's our pinned comment today if you think the Ravens will win the AFC North. So the playoff picture in the AFC, as we mentioned, that the Ravens' chances of getting the 1 seed not very high at this point, with the Bills and the Chiefs both ahead of the Ravens with their 10-3 records respectively. And the Bills, of course, have the tiebreaker over the Ravens due to that head-to-head matchup. Behind the Ravens, you have Tennessee as the 4 seed at 7-6. And then in the wild card window, that's where things get interesting. If the Ravens were to lose to the Bengals, if they slip up and the Bengals gain ground here, remember the Dolphins have the tiebreaker over the Ravens, so they could potentially slide all the way to that 6th spot. But you look at the other teams there, with the Patriots holding on to the 7th spot right now, Chargers and Jets also at 7-6. It would be a long drop-off for the Ravens to end up at that 7th spot or out of the playoff picture. Everything else looks pretty good on that front. It looks like they'll be in the show, but as far as their seeding goes, it's anyone's guess at this point. The AFC North standings, Ravens and Bengals both tied at 9-4. The difference right now, though, that head-to-head matchup gives the Ravens the edge for now. And the odds of how they'll be the rest of the way, according to our friends at BetUS, the Ravens favored at -125. The Bengals right there, though, at -105. The Browns and Steelers way back, essentially eliminated at this point. Browns at +300, and the Pittsburgh Steelers at +4,000 at that point in time. You can bet on the AFC North race, by the way. You can go to chatsports.com/bet, use the promo code chat125, and get a 125% deposit bonus. You put $100 down, you get $125 to spend for free, whether it's betting on games around the National Football League, including your Ravens, or If it's the AFC North or other divisions, maybe you want to bet on some NBA or college basketball. You can do it all in one place. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code chat125 at checkout. So let's look at the numbers from the New York Times. And I've been told by producer Coop to not refer to them as the fake news New York Times. So I will not refer to them as the fake news New York Times on today's show. So with that, their chances of getting the bye week, not very high, just about 4%, not 40%. That'd be nice if it was 40%, but 4% for the bye week. Now, in regards to hosting a wild card game, and that would be if they were the 2 through 4 seed. Remember, the NFL a couple years ago changed the playoff format. When they expanded to 14 teams, only the number 1 seed in each conference gets the first round bye now. Used to be where the top 2 seeds did. Now it's just the 1 seed in each conference. So with that, hosting a wild card game, that lines up with their chances of winning the division there at 62%. Now, being a wild card team, the Ravens have about a 32% shot is what the New York Times is running with, and then just missing the playoffs altogether, 2%. So their numbers pretty similar to 538's numbers in that regard of the playoff position for the Ravens. Now, let's look at the rest of the schedule for the Ravens and then also factor in the numbers from 538 in regards to their chances of winning their upcoming games. This weekend against Cleveland, 38% chance. The Ravens are an underdog, not just by BetUS and our friends out in the desert, but also according to the analytics nerds at 538. Nate Silver and company give the Ravens just a 38% chance to win this weekend's game. And we told you earlier in the week that Tyler Huntley looked like he was on track to play, but it looks like Lamar Jackson's going to be out, so that makes sense, not having your starting quarterback, why you would be an underdog. Doesn't mean you can't win, but you are an underdog nonetheless. Then you come back Christmas Eve, take on an Atlanta Falcons team who Atlanta this year has surprised a lot of people, no question about it. They entered 2022 with one of the worst rosters in the NFL. They've played above their talent, but there's no reason why you should be losing to Atlanta at home. 84% chance that's probably the easiest win remaining on the schedule for Baltimore. Then you begin the new year on January 1st taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And we saw that even with the Ravens having to go to their third-string quarterback in Anthony Brown, they still found a way to win on the road this past week. Now you come back home to take on this Steelers team, and hopefully you're healthier then at the quarterback position. Your chances pretty good at 78%. But then we go to the final game of the regular season, the rematch against the Cincinnati Bengals. Remember, the Bengals are also playing much better than they did when these two teams previously met. The Bengals look like one of the hottest teams in football. That gives the Ravens about a 40% chance to win that game. So with that, 538 saying the Ravens are going to go 2-2 during this home stretch and finish at 11-6 at this point in time. And so, with that said, an 11-6 record, not bad, but I think we're all skeptical when the predictions out there are, hey, you're going to go 2-2 and you're going to lose the game you need to win. Now, here's the deal. As far as rooting interest goes, all I'm worried about at this point really is that the Bengals, that the Titans, and the Dolphins keep on losing. That's pretty much all you have to worry about. I don't think that the Chiefs and Bills, you're really focused that much on your possibilities of moving upward to that 2 or 1 seed. That seems like a reach right now. Kind of just maintaining where you're at. Predict the final record for your Baltimore Ravens. Do you agree with 538? 11-6? Is that too harsh? Does that sound about right? Or is it maybe even a little too kind? What's your record prediction? Let me know in the comment section below. We're going to be covering the Ravens all throughout this run to the playoffs and throughout the postseason each and every day here on the channel. Turn on notifications and be a part of this playoff push here on the Ravens Rundown each and every day. YouTube.com/RavensTV, and we'll see you next time.